The book of Judges, chapter 19. And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Israel, that a certain Levite, sojourning on the further side of Mount Ephraim, took him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah. And his concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him to her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there some time, 4 months. And her husband rose up and went after her, to speak kindly to her, to bring her again. And his servant was with him, and a couple of asses. And she brought him into her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, that he rejoiced to meet him. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days, and they ate and drank, and lodged there. And it came to pass on the 4th day, that they arose early in the morning, and he arose up to depart. And the damsel's father said to his son-in-law, Refresh thy heart with a morsel of bread, and afterwards ye may go your way. And they sat down, and ate and drank, both of them together. And the damsel's father said to the man, Be content, I pray thee, and pass the night, and let thy heart be glad. And the man rose up to depart, but his father-in-law urged him, and he lodged there again. And he arose early in the morning on the 5th day to depart. But the damsel's father said, Refresh thy heart, I pray thee. And they lingered until the afternoon, and they did eat, both of them. And the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine and his servant. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said to him, Behold now, the day draws toward evening. I pray you stay all night. Behold, the day is declining. Lodge here, and let thy heart be merry. And tomorrow get you early on your way, that thou mayest go to thy tent. But the man would not tarry the night, and he rose up and departed, and came opposite to Jebus, that is Jerusalem. And there were with him 2 asses saddled, and his concubine was with him. Verse 11. They were near Jebus, and the day was far spent. And the servant said to his master, Come, I pray thee, and let us turn aside into this city of the Jebusites, and lodge in it. But his master said to him, We will not turn aside into the city of a stranger, which is not of the children of Israel, but we will pass on to Gibeah. And he said to his servant, Come and let us draw near to one of these places, and lodge in Gibeah, or in Ramah. And they passed on and went their way, and the sun went down upon them when they were by Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin. And they turned aside thither to go in, to lodge in Gibeah. And he went in and sat down in the open place of the city, and there was no one that received him into his house to pass the night. Verse 16. And behold, there came an old man from his work, out of the field at even. And the man was of Mount Ephraim, and he sojourned in Gibeah, but the men of the place were Benjaminites. And he lifted up his eyes, and saw the wayfaring man in the open place of the city. And the old man said, Whither goest thou? And whence comest thou? And he said to him, We are travelling from Bethlehem, Judah, towards the further side of Mount Ephraim. From thence am I. And I went to Bethlehem, Judah, and I have to do with the house of Jehovah, and there is no man that receives me into his house. And we have both straw and provender for our asses, and I have bread and wine also for me, and for thy handmaid, and for the young man with thy servants. There is no lack of anything. Then the old man said, Peace be with thee. Only let all thy wants lie on me, but lodge not in the street. And he brought them into his house, and gave the asses provender, and they washed their feet, and ate and drank. Verse 22. They were making their hearts merry, when behold, the men of the city, sons of Belial, surrounded the house, beating at the door. And they spoke to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thy house, that we may know him. And the man, the master of the house, went out to them, and said to them, No, my brethren, I pray you, do not wickedly, seeing that this man has come into my house. Do not this villainy. Behold, my daughter, who is a virgin, and his concubine, let me bring them out, and humble ye them, and do to them as is good in your sight. But to this man do not so vile a thing. But the men would not hearken to him. And the man took his concubine, and brought her forth to them, and they knew her, and abused her all the night until the morning, and let her go. The morning dawn arose. And the woman came at the dawning of the day, and fell down at the entrance of the man's house where her lord was, till it was light. And her lord rose up in the morning, and opened the door of the house, and went out to go his way. And behold, there lay the woman, his concubine, at the entrance of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. And he said to her, Up, and let us go. But no one answered. And he took her upon the ass, and the man rose up, and went to his place. Verse 29. And when he was come into his house, he took the knife, and laid hold on his concubine, and divided her, according to her bones, into 12 pieces, and sent her into all the borders of Israel. And it came to pass that every one that saw it said, There was no such deed done, nor seen, from the day that the children of Israel came out of Egypt to this day. Think it over, advise, and speak.